Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. With the entire crypto market now bouncing, many altcoins well above 20% in gains, it's important to understand if this is actually going to be a sustainable rally, or if this is just another bull trap before we make another new low. I'm going to be sharing with you guys an update on some major charts that are going to play the biggest importance when it comes to dictating where the price is ultimately going to go for Bitcoin. We're going to be taking a look at the US dollar index, and we're also going to be taking a look at the S&P 500 because both of these show the direction that crypto is about to be headed. And I'm here to tell you guys right now that this is where all of the answers will be. If you're new and just find this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Always remember to click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. And make sure you guys sign up and join the Discord server or download my free ebook. Links are in the description for both. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. If you guys remember the last video I talked about the S&P 500, you're going to remember this analysis right here. Every single time we made a lower low and then a lower high, we'd get rejected, and then we'd make another lower low, another lower high, we'd make another lower low, and then another lower high, and that was pretty much just been the staple of this entire downtrend. What I was pointing out to you guys was the fact that until we actually make a higher high, there's no reason to assume that that trend is going to be over. And crypto being so correlated with the stock market, it was surely to just follow whatever the S&P 500 was going to do. Now, if you guys remember, that was right here, right when we started rejecting, and it looked like we were actually going to be making another lower low. But we finally got some buyers to step in here. Now you guys can see we're finally breaking back up. And this is actually our first attempt at a higher high. So this is really what we needed to see if in fact the market was going to be bottoming. This wasn't just crypto. This is obviously the entirety. But the thing about crypto, guys, is we do have a strong correlation from Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoins to the S&P 500. And what we notice here is whenever the S&P 500 is doing good, whenever the equity markets are doing good, we see that crypto immediately benefits from that. Yes, there are periods of time where crypto kind of does its own thing. There are periods of time where the S&P 500 does its own thing. But as a rule of thumb, what we've noticed is whenever the S&P 500 starts to go back up into a new bull trend, whenever it starts making a new all-time high, Bitcoin benefits heavily because of this. And so now that we're finally seeing this first higher high stepping in here, I think that the most likely area that we're going to be targeting next is going to be our next resistance at about 4160. This was the first low that we made at support before we made our first bounce, and then we actually ended up making a much deeper correction inside of this sell-off. And so it makes sense to me that the price is most likely going to come back up and retest within this range. I don't think that we're going to be breaking out of it first try. Most likely this is going to resolve into quite a bit of price action. We're going to have to go through here and consolidate. Like I've stated, guys, I'm not really expecting a whole lot until closer towards the end of the year. You know, I do think that this will be a nice summer rally. Nonetheless, this is going to bring up crypto. This is going to bring up a lot of the markets just in time for the midterm elections. And so I believe that overall the market is going to keep trending up. But for crypto, I'm not expecting a whole lot until closer towards the end of the year. You know, like I said, summer rally, but we'll have a correction. Then we'll kind of trend sideways for a while. And that's probably going to be taking us right around to that end of the year time frame and the projected 4-year cycle low. But I mean, the stock market, most likely we're going to have a nice little run up back up to this resistance here. And then from there, I would expect a pullback. If you guys actually remember some of my older analysis, I said that if we ever broke out of this resistance here, most likely we would rally back up to 109 to 110. And that's really where I was expecting us to most likely top from that point. And so we're right at that resistance. Whether this is going to be the actual topping point or whether we keep going a little bit higher. So far with the S&P 500 now making a higher high, most likely this is going to resolve into more rejection from the dollar. Now, even if this just turns into a deeper type of correction for the dollar where we come back down and maybe just retest the previous all-time highs before making an even bigger move to the upside, that's definitely possible. And we're going to have to just watch and see what ultimately happens. And I think that a lot of our indicators are going to kind of tell the story. On a weekly time frame, we do have the potential of bearish divergence. We've had the potential of a lot of bearish divergence on the shorter time frames, but we haven't been given a strong weekly signal. And we do actually have something like that forming. We had a massive higher high that came in here. We do have a lower high that's being put in. So if this correction actually follows through, then that would be a bigger signal on a larger term basis where we could actually look at this being a longer term cycle top. If we're looking at this being a longer term cycle top for the dollar, then obviously the bottom's going to be in for the S&P. The bottom would also be in for crypto. Now this takes me to the final charts of today's video. We're going to be taking a look at the crypto total market cap and basically analyzing, why I believe that the dollar will be at a longer term cycle top, because where we're at historically inside of the crypto trend is at a bottom. Now, this is the 200-week moving average for the crypto total market cap. And if you guys notice here, we've only ever had enough price history to go off of, because this is also combining the altcoin data that we have as well. So we've only had enough price history to go off of since basically the end of December. And so what we can see here is that the very bottom of our bear market, this marked the low. Hitting the 200-week moving average marked the low point of our bear market. And even over here, when we made our first higher high, we went all the way up here. This is when Bitcoin went to 14K. We corrected back down. We found support off this level again. And then even during this COVID capitulation, yes, this did break below. Prices did go below this level. But notice here, it really wasn't that much below it. And that's another thing. In the same way, we look at support and resistance as more of a range. We can't draw one specific line and say, okay, this is where the price is always going to hit. Even though prices will react at a given level, we're going to see wicking above and below. We're going to sometimes see the candles close below or above for the short term, and they're going to behave more in a zone. And we can see that that's behaved more like that on this 200-week moving average. Technically we had closes below this in the bear market. We had us actually hold above this. We didn't even hit this right before. This was the turning point of the end of the year of 2019, the beginning of 2020. And then March of 2020, when we had this capitulation below this level, we pretty much closed right at that level. This was pretty much us fighting right at that 200-week moving average to prove whether the trend was intact or whether it was dead. And we can see that obviously it became, a new bull trend. But what we can see, fast forward it to today's time frames, this is where we're also marking our next support low. We've now reacted to this level with, about a month's worth of weekly candle closes. And what I also find is interesting is we're getting these weekly candle closes, and we also retested the all-time previous high of the last cycle. We came all the way back down. The bottom of this wick was us perfectly hitting the previous all-time high of the last cycle based off of total market cap. And where we found support and where we consolidated was right on support of this 200-week moving average. There's a lot of signs that are telling us that the cycle low is in. Yes, we are doing this before the actual 4-year cycle low projected timeframes are. But I mean, if we're actually looking at this as our cycle top being, in May, then we're actually a lot closer than we think, That was about 399 days from the May cycle top until the very bottom of this sell-off right here. Now, if we're looking at this, drawing at it from the top where Bitcoin made it 69,000, then that's only 217 days. So 365 days from that point, once again, like I've stated multiple times, we're looking around the end of the first week of November. And so with us already bouncing off this level, with us already having such a sustained sell-off, in my opinion, it's not the same as what we saw in 2018 or 2017, however you want to look at that. Because keep in mind, guys, that the 200-week moving average was clear down here. Keep in mind how far we distance ourselves from that 200-week moving average when we were in that 2017 bull trend. And so that's why I see a lot of people that are trying to draw this kind of like this. They're drawing this first major sell-off inside of the market. Oops. They're drawing this first major sell-off inside of the market, the first 70% correction. Because keep in mind, we made our first major correction, 70% down inside of Bitcoin, and then we ended up making another 50% to 70% drop on the downside. I see a lot of people that are looking at this sell-off here as the same as our first 70% pullback there, because it is similar in percent return. This is 74%, this one was about 71%. So we can see that there is a similarity in there. Now, what I think people are drawing is the idea that we're going to bounce back up, lower high, and then fall to another massive low where we make 80 to 84% correction like this. You know, something along the lines of that. I see a lot of people drawing that, and I completely disagree, just because this cycle is already different. In the prior cycle, we were way above the 200-week moving average before we made our final sell-off to ultimately hit the 200-week moving average. Sorry about my throat, guys. I have a little bit of a cold. And so now that we're actually hitting, bouncing off this once again, I think that this is actually the cause to be buying. I think that the bottom is ultimately going to be in. Even if we do something like this, we bounce off it, rally back up, and we have to go through a long period where we come all the way back down in time for November and make something more of a double bottom off this level. It really doesn't matter to me. If that happens, then really we just get two opportunities to go buy the dip. That is really the only way we should be looking at this, because now that we're down so much, now that we've already bounced off this level, this is also hitting after a retest of a previous all-time high for the first time ever. Man, I just think that this is we're gonna all look back in time. We're gonna think back on these moments and be like, oh man, I should have bought everything I possibly could. I should have sold my cars. I should have sold my house. I should have sold my wife. Should have sold my kids. And I should have went all in on this dip. I honestly think that that's what we're gonna all look back at this moment in hindsight, and that's what we're gonna say. You know, we're also sitting perfectly right at that $1 trillion mark. I think $1 trillion in total market cap is a really big psychological number. And so there's so many different variables that we can look at. There's so many different data points that we can pull that, in my opinion, tells that this is a strong confirmation that we should be buying, or we should be taking buying actions to some degree. So anyways, guys, this is the video I had for you. If you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing updates. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook. Links are in the description for that. For the people that would also like to sign up for my VIP, join my Discord server where I post my private picks, all the private trades that I take, NFT picks, things of that nature. All of that gets posted inside the Discord. So check it out. Links are in the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.